Good evening, everyone. I'm Gene Bailey. You're watching FlashPoint. We're glad you're with us. Listen, this is one of those programs I'm telling tonight, always when I have the doctors on, you guys love it and you love all the information. Go ahead and share this program right now on all your social media outlets. If you're watching this after it was live, you need to go back, go ahead and go share it. Let's spread the word, the good word about what you're hearing. You hear a lot of truth on FlashPoint, but you're going to hear medical truth as well tonight. So I want to make sure you get that. Quick update. We will be coming less than a week now to Omaha, Nebraska. We'll be there at the Mid-America Center. Next Thursday night, we'll be there. My guests include Hank Kuhneman, Lance Wallnau, Rick Green, Tony Suarez, and John Amanchukwu. It's going to be a great time as we kick off the Opening the Heavens conference. Come join us and be a part. Just go to the website right there, fparmy.com/events, and join us. Now, what's after that? What is after that is FlashPoint Live Indiana. That's a little deceiving because if you know anything about the state, we're really just not that far south of Chicago. But we're at Livingstone's Church in Crown Point, Indiana. Pastor Ron Johnson, a great church there. I am really excited about this. Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith is going to be with us. Hank Kuhneman, James Ward, Rick Green, and Lucas Miles, and maybe some other. We're working on a special guest right now, more about that. But that one is going to be amazing event. You need to go on and register right there, fparmy.com/events. Be a part of what God's doing across the country, and we're going to see the truth get out to everybody that needs to hear it. All right, let me welcome Rick Green first. Rick, your background looks different, but the statue looks the same.
Hey, man, we got to have the monument to the forefathers. I met a wonderful family, the Armstrongs of Colorado Springs, and they are big fans of FlashPoint. They love watching you as well, Gene, and of course they have the monument here. So I said that's a perfect place to set up for FlashPoint tonight. Hey, to your point on the doctors, that's what makes FlashPoint special. It's not just, as we always say, the spiritual. You get the political, you're getting the medical, you're getting all those things. Rob McCoy set a great example early on in COVID, along with other pastors, where churches were bringing in these expert medical professionals to help us get truth. And then, Gene, you took it to a whole nother level with FlashPoint. It helped educate the FlashPoint Army all over the country. So tonight it's going to be great to hear from these doctors and get an update. So thank you for setting the right standard for we as Christians to look at the truth in every area and not just say, oh, we're just going to stay over here in our little corner, but actually go to these medical experts and then put that up against the Word of God as well.
Amen. Amen. All right, let me bring him in. Dr. Peter McCullough, you know him, the Wellness Company. He's been everywhere. Every time I turn on the news channel, even the ones I don't like, I see him on there, and as well as Dr. Bruce Boros. Welcome back, Dr. Bruce. Good to see you, sir. Glad you're back with us.
Likewise, Gene. I'm flattered that you would have me back on the show. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Dr. McCullough tried to talk me out of it, but I said, no, let's get him back. He'll be all right. No.
I autographed a book that he sent to me, and he sent me one back. He says, truth is power, and he's right.
It's true. It is.
Amen.
All right. Let's get started. We got a lot of ground to cover. So, Dr. McCullough, I want to start with something. This is a tweet Secretary Kennedy posted. We reviewed the science, listened to the experts, and acted. BARDA is terminating 22 mRNA vaccine development investments because the data show these vaccines fail to protect effectively against upper respiratory infections like COVID and the flu. We're shifting that funding towards safer, broader vaccine platforms that remain effective even as viruses mutate. All right, so, Dr. McCullough, we could have saved him a lot of time, a few years ago and said, stop it with the COVID. But go ahead. I want to get your take on where we are today. Now, I'm trying to have you on at least once a month because there's always these updates coming out about these. So give me your take on what, first off, the job RFK Jr. is doing, and what you think what does this mean, these 22 mRNA vaccines taken off the market?
Well, thanks for having me on the program. It's a pleasure to be on with Dr. Boros, really kind of our senior leader in cardiology and health freedom. What we're talking about is BARDA, which is a division of the National Institutes of Health. It does directly report to RFK. It's $1 billion unit. It's supposed to be protecting Americans from pandemics. But sadly, BARDA was part of the creation of the COVID-19 pandemic. They were funding the Chinese lab in Wuhan. These 22 programs were literally government handouts to big companies like Moderna or Sanofi, these vaccine companies. They weren't development programs. It's simply wasting U.S. taxpayer dollars. So I agree with RFK, shut them down. The messenger RNA platform is not just, it doesn't work, but it's frankly dangerous. We can't shut off the genetic material once it's injected into the body. But these 22 programs are the tip of the iceberg. Our government is knee-deep in vaccine research, probably hundreds of programs through DARPA and NIAID. I think the government should just get out of the vaccine business altogether. We weren't in it years ago. Let the companies develop their own products, make the case for them in the marketplace, and let's pull our government dollars back from the vaccine industry. We're paying way too much money to, quote, develop vaccines, which means giving the money to the pharmaceutical companies. And on top of that, we're turning around and buying the vaccines back from them.
That's ridiculous. All right, Rick, let me go to you before I go to Dr. Boros. Here's the thing. When we started talking about COVID, we didn't know. We were walking into this trying to figure out something doesn't seem right. So on FlashPoint, what we talked about so much was it is your choice if you want to get this vaccine that's experimental and doesn't have any background. It's your choice. It's your freedom to choose. We didn't want the mandates. Your thoughts, Rick?
Yeah, and what Dr. McCullough just said makes sense for so many things. I mean, just if you make widgets and you go to the government and the government says, okay, we're going to pay all the money for your research and development to make your widgets. We're going to make everyone buy your widgets. And by the way, if you do anything with your widgets that ends up harming people, don't worry about that. No liability for you. So you don't even have to get it right. If it kills people, no big deal. If it makes people sick, no big deal. Who's going to, I mean, that's ridiculous. That's exactly what we've done with the vaccine. So Dr. McCullough is exactly right. Government collusion creates friction, as Milton Friedman would have said, in the market. And it also then results in what we ended up with COVID, because you have this one voice through the government making everybody follow that one voice instead of having science. If it hadn't been for Dr. McCullough speaking up as quickly as he did, and then Dr. Malone, and then these just a few voices that allowed us to finally say, you know what, maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe I should be willing to question these things and require more. And then, of course, we had the legal aspect of it. Matt Staver was with us last week on FlashPoint. He's the guy that exposed the fact that the only reason they could force these vaccines and be able to do an emergency authorization is that there was no other treatment, which is why they shut down ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. So all of that was exactly what Dr. McCullough just said. It was the government intervention in this area. He's right. Get the government out of it completely, as it should be. This is one of those Declaration of Independence moments. We should alter or abolish our government when it's destructive of the ends of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it's one reason we talk so much about getting rid of these departments, getting rid of these agencies, and let the market decide on these things.
Love it, love it. Okay, Dr. Boros, I want to get you to weigh in on here. You've heard Rick and Dr. McCullough. What do you think?
I totally agree with everything that's said, but I would like to add on, if I could, just a quick anecdotal story. You know, when we look at what's going on now, okay, about 1 month ago, Dr. Frances Oldham Kelsey died a month ago, 101 years old. And in 1960, she was the lone voice, okay, who was speaking out and stating that there's a medication over in Europe that's being used called thalidomide. And that was used for anti-anxiety in pregnant women, as well as morning nausea. And she was in the FDA. And she was a lone voice in the FDA. She was being attacked unrelentingly because this drug was to be brought into America. And she's saying, I'm very concerned. I have doubts. I need more evidence. I need proof. I need more transparency. And she hung on for 1.5 years. And as that time evolved, about 10 to 20,000 babies were born either deformed or died shortly after birth because of thalidomide. This is exactly the same situation. People are not listening to the people that are really knowledgeable and in the grassroots, in the trenches, taking care of people. These politicians and our government should not be interfering with medical knowledge at all.
I agree with that. We all agree with that one. All right, let me show you. This is Secretary Kennedy talking about terminating those contracts. Watch.
Hi, it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. here, your HHS secretary. At HHS, we have a division called the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, or BARDA. BARDA drives some of our most advanced scientific research. It funds developments of vaccines, drugs, diagnostics, and other tools to fight emerging diseases and national health threats. Over the past few weeks, BARDA reviewed 22 mRNA vaccine development investments and began canceling them. Let me explain why. Most of these shots are for flu or COVID, but as the pandemic showed us, mRNA vaccines don't perform well against viruses that infect the upper respiratory tract. Here's the problem. mRNA only codes for a small part of the viral proteins, usually a single antigen. One mutation and the vaccine becomes ineffective. This dynamic drives a phenomenon called antigenic shift, meaning that the vaccine paradoxically encourages new mutations and can actually prolong pandemics as the virus constantly mutates to escape the protective effects of the vaccine. Millions of people, maybe even you or someone you know, caught the Omicron variant despite being vaccinated. That's because a single mutation can make mRNA vaccines ineffective. The same risk applies to flu. After reviewing the science and consulting top experts at NIH and FDA, HHS has determined that mRNA technology poses more risks than benefits for these respiratory viruses. That's why, after extensive review, BARDA has begun the process of terminating these 22 contracts, totaling just under $500 million. To replace the troubled mRNA programs, we're prioritizing the development of safer, broader vaccine strategies, like whole virus vaccines and novel platforms that don't collapse when viruses mutate. Let me be absolutely clear. HHS supports safe, effective vaccines for every American who wants them. That's why we're moving beyond the limitations of mRNA for respiratory viruses and investing in better solutions. Thank you.
All right. It seems to me just a little bit too late. I mean, I'm glad we're finally getting rid of this, but it's like, look at how long, Dr. Mercola, we've been talking about this and talking about this and talking about this, and now suddenly we go, oh, yeah, oh, hey, we're going to stop that. But this is when you know it's really, we were right. I just want to say it. We were right all along. Look at this. CVS and Walgreens suspend the COVID-19 shots. Watch.
CVS, the nation's largest pharmacy chain, is no longer offering COVID-19 shots in 16 states, including Florida, New York, and Pennsylvania, even to vulnerable patients who meet new narrowed criteria from the Food and Drug Administration. The New York Times reports that the move comes due to uncertainty with, quote, the current regulatory environment, citing a company spokesperson. Some states prohibit pharmacists from administering vaccines not recommended by the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practice, a Center for Disease Control and Prevention panel. That panel is not scheduled to meet for another 3 weeks, and some in Congress are calling for the meeting to be postponed indefinitely in the wake of high-profile resignations at the CDC. Last year, the panel recommended updated COVID-19 vaccines in June, but there is debate among legal analysts whether that recommendation still stands, and CVS is erring on the side of caution. Walgreens is also reportedly limiting vaccinations and requiring prescriptions for immunizations. It comes as COVID-19 cases are on the rise nationwide and expected to tick up further in the coming months, according to the CDC. Some doctors are concerned that the barriers to vaccines may mean fewer people will be immunized during peak COVID season. Vaccination rates have reportedly fallen dramatically since the height of the pandemic. A CDC assessment reveals that just 23% of adults and 13% of children got a COVID-19 vaccine last season.
All right. So, Dr. McCullough, I want you to comment, but what role did the American public play in all of this happening? Did we have any impact in this as the reason why they've pulled all this, or did they finally come, or is this just Is this because they got the pressure or because of something else? I'm curious to hear your answer. Yeah, I think you're on mute there, Dr. McCullough.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I think the public can take all of the credit for this, Gene. This is staggering. The CDC was keeping track of who was taking these shots. They actually gave up on this right now. What was reported there was just information from a survey who's likely to take the shots. I went into CVS in Dallas yesterday. They have these two big cubicles for vaccines. No one's in there. This is purely supply and demand. The public has rejected these vaccines, and now CVS and Walgreens are going to be shutting the doors there.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I think what really gets me is I believe overwhelmingly a lot, and Dr. Bruce, I'll go to this, that the American public, like when I was growing up, we didn't go to the doctor. You went to the doctor if like an arm was broken you just didn't go for every normal day thing. And you didn't, I don't know how many vaccines there were. I remember the rubella and a couple other things, you got first grade at school or something like that. And that was it. And now we have the number of vaccines is staggering, and it's scary to most people. And there seems to be correct me if I'm wrong here, there seems to be no solid ground for all these vaccines other than the fact it's a money grab. That's just my opinion. I want to hear what you say.
Well, wherever there's money to be made, people are going to go down that pathway. First, I would like to say I would really appreciate it if everybody in the world would quit calling this a vaccine. Number one, it's not a vaccine. All we're doing is promoting that mythology that it's this thing that is good, that it's something that, everybody had to believe in, whether it was going through medical school and you were spoon-fed, just do it, or that we keep calling it a vaccine when it's really genetic modifying therapy. These people are messing around with our genetic God-given makeup, and it's dangerous. What we're doing to our immunologic system is criminal. And I would have to agree with Peter that what the public is hearing, what the public is spreading now is allowing them through FlashPoint, Joe Rogan, other individuals that have a very wide audience. People are seeing their loved ones die. They're seeing their loved ones very ill. They're seeing them get turbo cancers. And that word is spreading person to person to person on all the airwaves. And that's why you see the uptake going down. It is not a vaccine. And the sooner we quit calling that, the sooner we'll get on track with what these people are attempting to do. And that's to control us in the future.
There you go. Yeah. All right, Rick, in this, I know you got a comment, but I want to ask you this. Yeah. As Dr. Bruce was talking, I was thinking, I trust my neighbor and some friends of mine. This is sad, more than the medical. When if I have to go to the medical community, I'm like, I'm gonna text Dr. McCullough when I get out of here. I'm gonna text somebody that I'm not gonna give out your phone number, Doc. Don't worry. But I'm like, this doesn't sound. But I never had that. Like my parents in their older years, we just whatever the doctor said that's what you did, and there were no bad doctors. I mean, these people went to school for it. They should know what to do, and that's the way we treated the medical community. And what we've seen now, Rick, and I know you got other comment, I'll let you talk. I get wound up about this because they called me and my wife COVID deniers. And I said, we're not COVID deniers. We're COVID shot or pseudo vaccine mRNA crazy stuff deniers that you can't put into my body. But Rick, this is the problem in America right now. Here we've developed country. We're so civilized. We're killing ourselves.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do a biblical, constitutional, and maybe even a little bit scientific answer here for you. First of all, Jeremiah 17:9, the heart is evil, no man can know it. When you give people a profit motive with no responsibility for their actions, the nature of man, exactly as Bruce said, that's exactly what's going to happen. And so that we lost all the checks and balances, the forced nature of government controlling this thing and being so engaged is what happened. And constitutionally, Gene, the reason we weren't in this mess in the past is because we knew the Constitution. Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 8, This is where people, we forget this. I'm going to read it to you. To promote the progress of science and useful arts, comma, in other words, not to pay for it, but comma, by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. When we protected the invention of an individual, but we didn't fund it, we didn't make people take it, we didn't put the money in for marketing it like we've done with the vaccines lately. When we just protected your invention, then the market thrived, and you could trust your neighbor, you could trust the doctor, and that iron sharpening iron would get you to the right answer. When we got away from that, when we ignored the Constitution, we started going to whatever helped everybody's pocketbooks, we ended up where we are. Gene, the reason I got beat in the legislature 25 years ago was taking on the medical industrial complex on vaccines. I was trying to get parental choice in vaccines. And to your point on the number of vaccines, 25 years ago when I was making this argument, there were only 32 doses that kids were getting. You know what it is now, Gene? It's over 70, sometimes as high as 90, depending on what schedule they get, with no study showing the combined effect of all of those things being injected into a child in the first 6 months or the first 3 years. There's no study showing that. So we've lost our minds because we gave this money and this power by colluding government and science. The answer is to get government out of the science and health business. There's nothing in the Constitution that authorizes the government to be involved in this area at all. So anyway, this is just such a good program because you've got these guys that are absolute medical experts, the best in the field, giving us that information. And then we're able to show from both a biblical and constitutional perspective why if you do the principles right, then what they're saying will work well in the scientific realm. But when you get rid of the principles, man, it messes up the whole thing.
It all goes awry. Look at this, Vigilant Fox, which, by the way, if you're an X/Twitter guy, follow Vigilant Fox. He's a great option for news. Breaking: room goes silent as an emotional RFK Jr. reveals the latest number on chronic disease. Watch.
This morning, I got the latest numbers from CDC that 76.4% of Americans now have a chronic disease. This is stunning. When my uncle was president, it was 11%. 1950, it was 3%. Today, it's 76.4%. 8 out of 10 of our kids cannot qualify for military service. This is a national security issue. When my uncle was president, we spent 0 on chronic disease. Today, we spend $1.3 trillion. It's the biggest cause, it's increasing. And all of the arguments that Republicans and Democrats have about single payer, Obamacare, or the various ways of allocate the health dollars, they're all like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. If we don't end this chronic disease, we are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC. They did not do their job. This was their job to keep us healthy.
Thank you,
and
Mr.
I need to fire some of those people to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Amen, Brother Robert Kennedy Jr. Okay, Dr. McCullough, I'm going to stop playing a lot of videos and stuff because we need to dive into what he just said and where do we go from here?
Well, I tell you, a big additional chronic disease risk now has been these COVID-19 vaccines. My practice, like Dr. Burrows, loaded with patients with vaccine myocarditis, blood clots, nerve damage, problems throughout the body. You know, cancer rates are skyrocketing. The cancer statistics are out. The most common cancer in women is breast cancer. That's skyrocketing, associated with COVID vaccines. And then in men, it's prostate cancer. So let me tell you, yeah, people have chronic diseases, and they sure do coming out of the pandemic related to the vaccines. Now, I would also say the COVID virus, the SARS-CoV-2 virus, has contributed to significant disease. Again, we're talking about long COVID syndrome. Blood clots, in my experience, also occur after the viral infection. But leading up to the pandemic, there was this brewing epidemic of obesity, childhood allergic and neuropsychiatric disorders. This is a perfect storm for what RFK is saying. We are now in a chronic disease crisis. I think removing the COVID-19 vaccines off the market and now starting to do a very thorough safety review and curtailing the childhood vaccines will be a step in the right direction. But boy, we've got a ton of work to do on obesity and all the other related chronic diseases.
Dr. Boros, your thoughts there?
My thoughts are that everybody should read Dr. McCullough and John Leake's book, because it really outlines. He didn't pay me to say this, Gene. I read the book. I got it before Peter got it, actually. And it's vaccines, mythology, ideology, and reality. Yeah. And it shows you that pretty much most of these chronic these illnesses that we're vaccinating and injuring our children and our population with were gone in the early 1900s. It's a fabulous read. Peter's holding it up. However, I honestly feel that the evil in the world is dominating right now. I think that the one world order, globalists, I call this the killing fields in America. And from the medical standpoint, this has been well thought out, well planned. These companies, which were hired by BARDA, DARPA, and our government and our White House under Biden, pushed these narratives and paid off. The academies and the associations of pediatrics, OBGYN, and all of our leading bodies and organizations that tell us what to do or make suggestions for what doctors should do were on the bandwagon for the money, the double-digit millions that these organizations were given. And for the ACIP to be thrown out by Robert Kennedy, great idea, because they were all captured. These people all get grant monies, and you're looking at the changes that he's making right now. And just briefly, if I can say, just take one person, Dr. Sarah Brenner. She was a transient head of the CDC. When she was pregnant, she refused to get the vaccine, quote, or poison jab, as I call it, because she knew that there was something bad about the nanotechnology in it alone. So she didn't get it, but she kept silent. And the culture within the public unhealth that we had before was keep your mouth shut or you're going to be fired. You're going to get blackballed and we're going to throw you out of here. You'll never get another job with us.
Yeah. All right, so much to talk about. When I come back, I want to talk about that nanotechnology and break down what's fact, what's fiction. And Dr. McCullough is going to tell us what we can do to reverse the effects. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
When you show up in FlashPoint gear, you're more than a fan. You're part of the Army. Rep the voices you trust and the truth you believe in.
FlashPointStore.com has new merchandise.
Gear that sparks a conversation. Let the world know you're standing strong, always to the right of center.
Make sure you wear FlashPoint. Always show your colors.
Shop the collection now at FlashPointStore.com. Don't just blend in. Stand out. Be part of the Army.
FlashPoint Live is coming to Council Bluffs, Iowa, Thursday, September 11th at 7 p.m. Join Gene Bailey at the Mid-America Center as we kick off Opening the Heavens 2025 with a powerful night of bold truth and prophetic insight. Join Hank Kuhneman, Lance Wallnau, John Amanchukwu, Tony Suarez, and Rick Green for one power-packed night. Register now at openingtheheavens.org. America, it's time to take a stand for truth. The War Room is calling. Join the FlashPoint War Room, a powerful community of believers standing together in prayer, unity, and bold support. Get exclusive updates on what God is doing right now through this movement. Stand in faith, stand for truth, and stand with FlashPoint as we press into what God is doing in this season. Whether you're a pastor, intercessor, or a passionate viewer, this is your call to action. Go to fparmy.com and join the War Room today.
FlashPoint Live is coming to Crown Point, Indiana, October 2nd and 3rd. Join host Gene Bailey at Livingstone's Church for 2 nights of bold voices and unshakable truth. He'll be joined by Pastor Ron Johnson, Lieutenant Governor of Indiana Micah Beckwith, Hank Kuhneman, James Ward, Rick Green, and Lucas Miles. Register for this for free at fparmy.com/Indiana. It's time to take a stand and make your voice count.
Welcome back to the second half. Lots more to talk about, but I do want to take just a moment and say this. Thank you for keeping FlashPoint on the air. This is the type of stuff we love to bring to you, the ability to share the truth. whether Rick was talking about the truth biblically, theologically, what's going on governmentally, and now medically. This is why we're here. So thank you for your support. If you want to help us, it's very simple. Go text FLASH and the dollar amount to 28950. You can give online at fparmy.com/give, or you can write a check, make it payable to FlashPoint, P.O. Box 1, Newark, Texas 76071. And that helps us. Gifts are tax deductible as your CPA allows. All right. So thank you for being with us. Let's share this program everywhere you can. Let's get right back in it. Dr. McCullough, let's talk about what Dr. Boros brought up, nanotechnology. There's been some crazy stuff out there on the internet about what's in the. Explain what the truth is about the nanotechnology that's in these in this cocktail, this COVID-19 cocktail they've been given.
Gene, the CDC, a few years ago when the vaccines rolled out, on their website, it said these are brand new COVID vaccines, and they don't have any nanochips in them. They don't have any tracker chips. Like, why would the CDC put that on their website? I think it's great that they've got fired. I mean, they're so irresponsible to do that. What would a typical person think if you read that?
Yeah.
Why are they giving this disclaimer? It turns out that the vaccines, when they've been examined under electron microscopy, show some various crystals. They're not nano trackers, but there is technology, and in it, as Dr. Boros points out, it's genetic technology. It's messenger RNA that's been fully pseudo-uridinated. It's synthetic. The human body can't break this stuff down, and it distributes from cell to cell in tissues. It's been found in the brain, the liver, the skin, the heart. And the human body can't get rid of Pfizer and Moderna once it's injected into the human body. It's a horrific idea. These other 22 vaccines, it's the same problem. The respiratory syncytial virus vaccine, which is now being used in the public in adults and children, that has the same problem. Messenger RNA technology is bad technology. They need to shut down the entire platform.
I think we all would agree with you. Rick, you hear this. I just want you to know we've been tracking you, Rick. We injected something in your drink, and now we can track your, when you drank that water bottle, we know where you are.
Well, that means you know where to go tomorrow. You'll be at our Constitution Conference in Colorado Springs with Ken Davis and all the coaches
there.
You go. So we'll look forward to seeing you. I'm sure you're going to be there.
Yeah. Yep. I'll be right there.
Hey, Gene, I was thinking about, combining what Dr. McCullough just said with what you were saying. And that is, listen, what he just said 2, 3, 4 years ago, we would have all been canceled for, right? I mean, we couldn't have said those kind of things. So when people think about donating to FlashPoint, you're not just doing that so that you have the airwaves this week. You're literally you're building the supply lines of communication so that the next time this happens and someone gets in control of the government and they're able to force these kind of things on the marketplace, that we have an outlet to educate you on. It is so important. I think the moment that started breaking the back of this effort to control the population was when Peter McCullough showed up on Joe Rogan. That he had the supply lines, right? He had the distribution. He had the millions of ears out there that Dr. McCullough was able to speak to. And all of a sudden, people started going, wow, somebody's confirming what my gut said. So I say all that to say, make your donations to FlashPoint, not just so that we can do the live shows around the country and be on the air right now. You're investing in what will surely come a year from now, 2 years from now, who knows when, but there's going to be a time when FlashPoint is able to get the truth to you when you're almost not able to find it anywhere else.
Amen. Thank you, Rick. That's exactly right. Thank you for clarifying that. Dr. Boros, I want you to comment again on the nanotechnology. I mean, being cardiology, you see a lot. What is it that I have a lot of people that are older that watch, and we have a lot of younger as well, but they're concerned, and they loved the show that both you guys were on before because they got so much information. What is it that they should be watching for? Maybe they don't have any symptoms, but maybe they don't know what to look for if they need to go in. They took the vax, then maybe they thought they were doing the right thing. They didn't. Now they're concerned. What should they go do?
Okay, first of all, I think if you ask Rick to go around with a tablespoon on his forehead with no hands and it's sticking to his forehead or the side of his cheek, you're going to see that there's metallic particles that are within these jabs. And so there is the nanotechnology. I want to go back to the very beginning, and then I'll answer your question very quickly, Gene, is that these lipid nanoparticles are lipids and they're petroleum byproduct breakdown. It is a coating. Think of a hot dog. The modified RNA, which was made in a lab, is surrounded by the bun, which is this lipid nanoparticle. I'll give you one guess. You don't even have to guess. Where do you think the United States bought these lipid nanoparticles from? China. You're right. That's who was working with us to get the coating, the protective agent. And when you get a shot, you're getting 30 to 40 trillion particles. Wow. These lipid nanoparticles that themselves are carcinogenic. They are toxic. They cause cancer and a whole bunch of other things that we don't know about. And that's why the temporary head of the CDC, when she was pregnant, said, and her whole thesis, everything she knew about was nanotechnology. She said, I'm not going to put that in my arm because I have no idea what it's going to do to me, short term nor long term. And why she kept her mouth shut for all these years and came out in May of this year at a meeting, a conference, and said, I refused to get it. I was afraid to get it. We know that it transmits in breast milk and other secretions, that this technology is failed and flawed, related particularly to infectious disease. But when you look at the collaboration, how this product came together, and the lack of regulatory oversight that was imposed upon the entire world, because once the government got involved and took it over, all the standard regulation of pharmacokinetics, all the dynamics of this particular jab that they knew was not going to stay in the arm. They knew that it went all over the body in 48 hours, and they kept their mouths shut. Our public unhealth actually destroyed the lives of many, many people acutely, and the older people. They wiped us out with COVID initially, and then with the vaccines, we're going to see for the next decade, we're going to see the consequences of this failed and flawed killing technology.
So, Dr. McCullough, what should people be looking for in symptoms? You know, when they're concerned that maybe they're not sick enough to be at the hospital. What should they be looking for?
What I found as a cardiologist is chest pain, palpitations, fluctuations in blood pressure. Those are all manifestations of what we call subclinical vaccine myopericarditis. The messenger RNA gets in the heart, the spike proteins in the heart. For sure, people should be vigilant regarding cancers. Very important. We're seeing cancers take off much more quickly and with a higher severity and aggressiveness. The term turbo cancer really fits. So, every patient today, I went over, are they up to date on mammograms, colonoscopy, exams, prostate? I'm a cardiologist. I'm examining the prostate myself because with these turbo cancers, you probably know Deion Sanders, Dallas Cowboy, great. He's in his 50s and he has bladder removed from a vaccine turbo cancer. I've never seen that in my career. So people need to be vigilant, and you know what? They need to start turning to a solution, and that's McCullough protocol-based spike protein detoxification.
All right, so talk about that spike detox, because that's always the thing that people jump on when you're on the show, is because they need to see it. So explain what that is, and I know the wellness company offers that, but explain what that does for people.
The spike protein cannot be broken down by human enzymes, and it builds up in the body after COVID and really builds up after the vaccine, probably tenfold more after the vaccine. That's where the ultimate spike detox come in. It's the only scientifically based, peer-reviewed and published approach to dissolve the spike protein in blood and in tissues, and using the ultimate spike detox from the wellness company. It has two critical enzymes, nattokinase and bromelain, but a whole host of minor ingredients that help clear the spike protein out. We see the antibodies going down in response to that, to the spike protein. And then in research studies, we actually see the spike protein itself going away. Thank goodness. Now we just have the human body needs to get rid of the messenger RNA. The only thing we know there is that it does come out in breast milk and sweat. We tell patients we want them to sweat as much as possible, go into saunas, exercise and sweat. Not hard to do here in Texas or in Florida. But I can tell you right now, when we relieve the body of the spike protein, these chronic symptoms all resolve and patients get better.
All right. So how do they get it? How do they, quickly tell them where do they need to go to get that, Doc?
Go to twc.health and /flash, get your FlashPoint Army discount, twc.health. If that's too hard, just go to Amazon. They have it as well now. It's far and away the leading approach in dealing with this. And recently I was on Daystar, big audience this week, and I told Doug and Joni, I said, listen, if Harvard comes out with a better formula, let's see it. Or Mayo Clinic. No one's stepping up to the plate to do anything for patients. Thank goodness for the wellness company.
Amen to that. All right, Rick, I was kind of thought maybe I'd see a spoon on your forehead by now, but I'm not seeing.
Yeah. Well, you might have seen steam coming out my ears because as a lawyer and a lover of the Constitution and a biblical citizen, I love justice. And as I'm sitting there listening to Dr. McCullough and Dr. Burrows talk about just the evil that has to be in someone's mind to allow for millions of people to be harmed when they have the information to let people know of the danger here. And I think of all the women in the military that were forced to get the jab when they were pregnant, saying you're either going to be dishonorably discharged or you're going to harm your baby, essentially, is what it came down to. And a lot of them, felt completely trapped. How many babies were killed? How many women are infertile now? How many problems are out there? So I say all that, Gene, to just say we must have justice on this issue, and I believe we'll get there. I know everybody's wanting, some trials and some charges to be filed as soon as possible. I want Anthony Fauci charged. I want Rachel Walensky charged. I want these people that lied to the American public. I want these pharmaceutical executives that knew these things, that lied and hid what they knew in the studies to be true, that this was going to harm so many people. They must be prosecuted, or we will do the exact same thing again. These people will be right back at it in order to profit off of harming Americans. So anyway, I just say that's what I'm feeling right now, is a desire for justice. And so I am asking President Trump and our Department of Justice and frankly state prosecutors and attorneys general and others to go after the people that lied and caused so much harm, destroying so many lives.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Burrows. I think what Rick is saying is spot on. But Dr. Burrows, I'm seeing all this stuff now. I'm seeing there are new variants, new viruses, new protocols for it that, and it all seems to come from I believe a lot of people watching this show tonight live are going, I'm just not going to do any of it because I don't like it. And is that just as dangerous? How do we get the truth? Where do we go to get the truth on all of this?
I think the best place to go, in my impression, is to go on Substacks and look for people like Sasha Latipova, to look at Dr. McCullough, Nick Holcher, all of the people that are what I call the truth tellers, okay? All of us who go back to when I first met Peter was in November of 2021. And it's funny, I walked into a group meeting and I had a t-shirt and a sports jacket on. It said the Pangolin did it. And that's where Peter and I first met. And what you have to do is you have to make sure that your sources are good. I would like to, Gene, if I could, I get so excited. I have so many things, 5 years of studying and reading every day and getting information, seeing patients. When you went back to what should people know? Shortness of breath. They're fatigued. They're going to bed earlier. They think that they're getting old because their memory's not good. They're finding that they have fasciculations. These things are all the symptoms that they go to doctors, and the doctors do $1 million workup, blood test. They say, sorry, you've got anxiety. You have COVID anxiety, and they put them on benzos or something to cut their anxiety. So people need to know that their symptoms are real, but they've got to find doctors that listen to those symptoms. I see them every single day, and they say, the 3 other doctors said I'm crazy. They're not crazy. They are affected. And like me, last point, critical, Gene, I've never been jabbed, but my spike protein is very high. And I went on the ultimate spike detox. I had been on some ivermectin that I've been using since July of 2020 for people. I'm own little protocol. Oh, did I lose you?
No, still got you.
No, I don't have a picture. But anyway, the bottom line is my antibodies to spike is very high. I went on the spike detox from the wellness company, and literally, Peter doesn't believe me, but within a week, I was back to normal. That was exceptionally fast, but it actually works. And sunshine, exercise, fresh air, and having a physician that you can communicate with who works with you and believes you is critical. People can't go around thinking they're crazy.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. You know, Dr. McCullough, I want to get back to you. What is it going forward, as of right now, the date of this program, what is it you're the most concerned about looking forward in the medical community for all of Americans?
I'm most concerned that even with a new crew in Washington, Trump, Kennedy, and Macri as the FDA commissioner, you know, all three of them have the power to pull these COVID vaccines off the market. They should have been off the market on day one. Remember, there was all kinds of other day one things that happened in the administration. Now we're 9 months into this, and it's just political theater going on. And so what I want to know, Gene, is who's really calling the shots? Who's behind keeping these on the market? What is the driving force there? My first book, we call it the biopharmaceutical complex. And you know, I think Rick and Dr. Boros are right. There are powerful forces here that have eroded the Constitution. They clearly don't have our public health interests in mind. You know, there's tremendous amounts of power and money. You know, as we speak, Trump was at a dinner, and on the other side of Melania Trump was sitting Bill Gates. You know, he's part of this complex. We have to do a careful appraisal of who really is looking out for our best interests.
I agree. Rick, who is?
Yeah.
Who's looking out for our best interests?
And Gene, you know, FlashPoint is, and what these guys are saying is we have to have our own networks and our own community where we can find that truth and spread that truth. And, you know, when Dr. McCullough says that about pulling the vaccines off the market, people may think, well, that seems so radical, so crazy to do that. I mean, let's not forget swine flu 1976, you had this vaccine that it only harmed a few dozen people, and that was a few dozen. And that was enough to cause them to pull this thing off the market and stop injecting it into people. Millions of people have been severely harmed by these vaccines. Many, many, many deaths. He's absolutely right. It should be pulled off the market. And I think the justice thing has got to be coupled with this. And we've also got to really think through this constitutionally. How much should government do? Hopefully this is a wake-up call. People used to look at me like I had three heads when I talk about the fact that the federal government should not be involved in these things. It will cause confusion in the market. It's kind of like, remember all the stem cell research debate? When the government actually picks the winners and losers, it slows down the cure because the money goes to the buddies. It goes to the people that are scratching your back. In the case of stem cell, went to all the embryonic stem cell research, which was not producing any cures, and come to find out the adult stem cell research was producing cures, but that didn't have the backing of the government people. So in other words, it just messes up the market. Let the market decide, and we've got to build up those networks. I thank God for Dr. McCullough and providing people with these treatments, but most of all, just for the truth. Let's not forget what these two doctors you're looking at right here, put everything on the line to speak truth. Think of all those doctors that were fired, that lost their careers, and these are people at the top of the field, and all of a sudden the medical industrial complex turned on them and tried to destroy their lives. So coming behind them and supporting them and thanking them for what they did, I think is an important part of building that network.
All right, Dr. McCullough, let's talk about the book that you were so slyly sneaking up into the frame. We actually have a full screen picture of it. Explain what this is: vaccines, mythology, ideology, and reality.
I tell you, this just made the New York Times bestseller list. And, it's the first book in this genre. It's nonfiction. It is a gripping historical account of the development of vaccines going back 300 years. You and Rick will be interested in this. We pick up the story with Cotton Mather, 1721. He's a Puritan minister. Wow. Who takes up variolation with Dr. Boylston. He proclaims vaccines are a gift from God. So listen, there has been a vaccine religion that's been around, and doctors subscribe to it now for 300 years. That's the reason why people are losing their minds in Washington now as we begin to examine the safety of the vaccines. It's threatening their vaccine religion.
Dr. Mercola, I haven't asked you this before, but is there like a group of doctors that people can go to that believe the way you guys do? Is there like an association? You know, we need, I'm thinking, Rick, we need the FlashPoint recommended doctors.
Yes. Oh, that's a good idea.
You know, I mean, I need to be able to point people to a certain group that if there's something that you can do to help us with that, we would love to be able to promote that.
Right. The oldest and time-honored group is the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, AAPSonline.org. They've been fully chartered since 1943. Most of the doctors are some of the top doctors out of medical schools in the United States. In the year 2000, listen to this, they passed a resolution that there should be no requirements for vaccines or mandates anywhere for school, for the military, for employment. That's in the year 2000. That's 25 years ago.
Right.
Joe Ladapo, Surgeon General of Florida, just announced this week that that's what's going to happen in Florida. So check out aapsonline.org. They've actually got a very good physician roster. You're going to find the best.
All right. Well, there you go. That's a good answer. All right, Rick, you know, let's talk about the other side of this now. We've heard it on the medical side. What do we do to get this type? What can we do other than voting in the right people, which I know is no small thing, but I mean, it's a big thing. What sort of legislation do we push for that gets this stuff changed?
Well, one thing to finding the doctors as well, you know, we had a really difficult time 25 years ago finding a pediatrician that would not, you know, force this on us or kick us out of the practice if we didn't take every single vaccine. And that's still hard to do, but they are out there. So to parents out there, you can find them. I'm not familiar with the list that Dr. McCullough just gave, but I'm so glad to hear that. And I want to get that to my people at Patriot Academy as well, to the FlashPoint Army. But Gene, I think it's going to require some resetting of the table and some challenging of our perception. That religion and some of these things has caused people to not even think it's possible to have life without the medical industrial complex and the government being colluded in this way. And so we have to shatter some of those ideas, some of the status quo. I've got, of course, this 12-step recovery program for America in my Rebuilding Liberty book. And number 12 step is to remove the emergency powers from these governors. We did that in the early 1970s, and every state adopted it. And it's set up for what happened with COVID. My position is that if you're going to shut down the economy and make healthy people stay home, you should have to declare martial law. It should have to be that bad. If I get it. If the Black Plague comes, and it could come, we could end up with a Black Plague or with a horrific scenario. So you need the power of government to step in and save lives in that. But it should be so rare and so radical that they have to declare martial law instead of being able to hide behind some health commissioner or somebody else based on bad data, which is exactly what happened in this case. So there's some resetting of the table. We have to rethink the proper role of government, not create a new system, go back to alter or abolish, as Jefferson said, alter back to the constitutional jurisdictions. And that will then set up the marketplace remedies that folks like these wonderful doctors can give us. But you got to get the government piece right first.
Without a doubt. All right, Dr. Boros, I want to, as we start to wrap, man, this hour has flown by. We only got a few minutes left. So I'll let you take the next minute and a half. Tell us what, in your opinion, what should we be, the basic American citizens that's listening to you going, wow, this is great stuff. What do I do next to make sure?
Don't take the poison jabs. Do not take them, anything with modified RNA in it, including don't give it to your pets because you may pick it up by shedding. That's how I got it, through secretions, and why I'm making spike protein. People need to be aware. Go to X at Boros Bruce, X at Nick Holcher, McCullough Foundation. We're constantly taking in a lot of information and putting it out there from all different sources. I would like to say emphatically, you are seeing a major assault on RFK Jr. right now because he is a disruptor. And there's a group called BIO, which is a biotechnological organization, innovation organization. They put $2 million into discrediting him. If you watch that congressional attack on RFK, they didn't attack him on any principles, on any points, on any science. They are trying to vilify him. They are trying to make him look like he's a moron. They're using every single Tavistock attempt that they can use and tactic to get this man out of the way, because they don't want the truth to surface. They don't want transparency. They don't want proper oversight and regulation. And they certainly don't want this whole vaccine industry to be properly evaluated, because it has never, ever been done correctly. Not one vaccine has been tested against a true placebo.
Okay. Got it. Dr. McCullough, your thoughts?
Well, just thanks so much for having us on. I got to tell you, I think Rick Green and Dr. Burrows, some of the best guests you've ever had. You know, all my followers are asking me, how do I join the FlashPoint Army? Now I know they need to get involved with FlashPoint, get the merchandise, donate. It's very, very important right now, you know, for us to support one another. We're heading into this, you know, period of time. There's been regime change at the top. A lot of people thought the administration was going to save us. The answer is there's only one way to be saved, Gene, and you know it and I know it too.
Amen to that, brother. Amen. All right, Rick, as we wrap this up, you know, I was just thinking as Dr. Burrows was talking, you know, they tried this whole like masking back up thing. You remember that? It's probably been a couple of years ago now. But they tried to kind of bring, we need to maybe lock down. I don't know if that was Fauci, who knows who that was at that point. But, you know, the reality is I don't think the American people are just going to lay down like they did this last time. I believe we've gotten a lot smarter. We're questioning, and that's always a good thing. We just need to listen to the right people. Your thoughts, you got a minute here to wrap up.
Yeah, to use their own terminology, I think we got an inoculation of tyranny. We got just enough of it that now we're like, no, we don't want any more of that. That's enough. So yeah, to Dr. McCullough's point, I mean, you've got to get involved and you know, take the Rebuilding Liberty course, take biblical citizenship, start building that network of people. Stand behind the people that are fighting for this. Don't expect all these solutions to happen overnight. This takes time. I stand with RFK. You know, a lot of people wanted to throw him under the bus a couple of months ago because they didn't think he was moving fast enough. I think he's moving right on time, and I love these steps that he's taken. I do think we have to be vigilant on like I said, setting the table right, the proper function of government. I'm afraid RFK may go towards more government involvement in some areas, so we want to check him on that, but be with him on everything he's doing to reset the table and alter or abolish it. But you got to become a part of the FlashPoint Army to stay plugged in and get these things. So join us at fparmy.com. That's right,
fparmy.com/FP sign up, and you can get on the email list. Now, let me tell you something. We are about to release and send out information about the Christmas Gala, December 6th. We'll be sending that out in the next few days. Make sure you're get ready to join us right here in Texas for that event. Listen, I want to make sure that you continue getting the information you need. So go back, watch this program back, get the websites that Dr. McCullough was running off and Dr. Burrows were saying, all that stuff. Share the content. Let's make sure we get the good news of this out, because you and I, we must protect each other. We cannot count on a government system. I think that's one thing we've all learned. We cannot count on the government system to protect us, to do us. We no longer can take that way out. We're going to have to believe in who God is, our creator, and understand who speaks the truth and who's not speaking the truth. We'll see you next time. FlashPoint, right of center. See you.
Hello, FlashPoint Army. Well, MyPillow continues to be the most canceled company ever. Big box stores, banks, shopping channels, social media, you name it, they've canceled us. And it's all because I continue to speak out against stolen elections and go into paper ballots hand counted. Well, their loss is your gain, because we're passing the savings directly onto you with our brand new products, our overstock specials, and our closeout deals that you won't find anywhere else. Check out our closeout MyPillow bed sheets, only $29.88. You heard that right, only $29.88. That's any style, any color, any size, even king size that normally retail for $119.98, now only $29.88. Our brand new product, Rev 7, the next generation of energy drinks. It has no sugar, no caffeine, and it'll keep you going all day. It's absolutely amazing. Get a free trial 3-pack today, just pay shipping. and our famous premium My Pillows, queens, regularly